Hey guys, welcome back to the Forge. I'm Big Cloudwise, and today we are here with Talkaholic. Hey,
Hello,
Talk.
Taco here.
So today we are going to be doing one on different tech within the sci-fi world. Um, what shows are you going to be touching on tonight?
One of my two favorites I watched growing up, um, one of them is Star Trek related, so I always been a fan of Deep Space Nine series of it, and Andromeda, which is another one.
That's
I'll be
always
focused
a
on
good.
today.
That's always a good one to have
What
on
about
there.
you?
Me, I'm going to be focusing completely on 40K for the simple fact that
Oh,
I've been getting back into a lot of the lore and things of that nature. And
oh, okay.
a lot of the tech is actually pretty cool. It may sound like pretty, how can I say this? It does not sound very feasible, and more than likely not at all. But I will say it is pretty cool looking.
Ooh, I look forward to hearing that. And also, I always wanted to learn more about Warhammer 40K because I know it's pretty huge. Like, we're talking about world building and lore and stuff. So I definitely would love to hear your advice on how, where can I immerse myself in that a little bit later too.
Yeah, so I will just give you like my best point of reference. It is a podcast. They do give their own references, so you can go and find these. You can also
Oh,
go on the Games Workshop website to learn. You can find fan
okay.
fiction that is actually, if it's good enough, makes enough sales, is pulled into canon.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Okay.
but there is a Warhammer 40K podcast all on the major points of lore. So you'll get all
Oh.
the Ultramarine lore that's really heavy before and after the time of chaos.
Ooh. That looks exciting. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I love podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're on all like streaming platforms and YouTube as well.
Well, YouTube more than likely. Other ones I don't know. I use Spotify to find this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I use Spotify too.
Lore Boys is their big project now, and it is the
Oh,
happy byproduct that took off because
o-
of Lore Hammer, which is the 40K version of the show.
okay. I heard there's a game too. I've seen a couple of my friends play it,
There's a
especially
few
on
games.
console.
There's Space Marine 2,
Oh,
Warp Road Trader, Warp Forge, Tacticians, and I think there's also a few I would call third party games for on the Android. More than like you can find them on.
okay. If I remember correctly, I think someone told me this, but speaking of 40K, isn't there like a class, or I guess you could say a race that's kind of like Gundam, kind of like robots, mecha?
Yes, kind of. They're Titans. They're also Free Blades. The Free
Ooh,
Blades were they're just really massive. Like basically think of them like a Gundam. The only thing is they don't have the look, and
oh,
they
okay.
also are basically all you're looking at is a ghost in a shell type thing. They're just
Oh, nice.
tor like head sometimes, if not like part of the torso and up, and that's it.
Hmm.
That's all you're gonna find in there that's human.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, I also see you're gonna be working on the Straight Noir Gundam
Yes,
tonight.
This is a Grail kit. Since I've seen this,
Oh,
I've
nice.
always Seed has given me a thing for giving me a bigger love for combiner mechs.
S- We love that. We love that here.
Yes, that is a fan favorite of nerdisms in the Hexforge. And the fact that this thing comes with the strike rifle, two beam pistols, and then two dual rifles, and basically everything else you need is on the strike unit, which pack.
Right.
And the cool thing is, you can even equip this pack to the
Hmm.
Eclipse.
Ooh,
That's gonna be fun to play around with, which I need to find parts
nice.
for that.
Oh yeah,
That's
speaking speaking of the strike, oh, I gotta get. I'm gonna pull up the mighty strike freedom. It
oh
is
yeah.
finished and built with the effect parts. I didn't even realize that the effect parts came with the base too, and I was really relieved. I actually bought also effect parts for the Immortal Justice Type 2 too, along with the
Nice.
Zagok is coming tomorrow
Oh
with
yeah.
the companion set. I think it's the companion effect or companion set for it. I think it's the Cavalier, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, the Cavalier is basically kind of like a silhouette thing that allows the Justice to be remote controlled by Kagami.
Yeah. Wait,
You're
wouldn't it be
having
wait.
impure thoughts right now in the heat of battle?
Right.
How crude!
And on top of that, wait, since you mentioned like the silhouette, wouldn't that so the Cavalier wouldn't it be similar to like the Zeus silhouette for the Destiny or not really?
The Zeus is more of a multi-purpose, but not in the exact same way. It is an offensive defensive. The
Oh,
Cavalier
okay.
is a transmitter receiver. Basically, it's a radio transmitter, giant remote control tower.
You know, now that I think about it, with the Cavalier, even though okay, so Kagala got the remote, but then Mayron's actually sitting in it doing her type of thing. So it's like
There's
Afrin's
two of them.
harem is close to him.
There's two. There's two different Cavaliers. There's the one that Kigali has, which also acts as kind of like a command module for her
Right.
MS. And then there's the one that equips the Athrons, which also works as a transportation pod and secondary life quarters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one Mayron. Listen, I love Mayrin. She's like one of my favorites.
I'm
It's
just
a
glad that they all.
controversy.
I'm glad they all joined up at the end. They're all part of the same crew. Hawk,
I
both of the Hawk
know, right?
sisters, Shin, all of them were there, except that we lost two of the Merc Rick Dom pilots.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually thought it was really cool that they brought back a lot of like the Zaku, the Goof, the Diamond,
Yeah.
all those. They brought all those back. Were really cool.
And speaking
Freshened
of
up the
which,
designs even.
oh yeah, that kind of reminds me. I that's the next build I gotta do. The
What?
GAN.
Oh, again, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
actually love okay. Yeah.
do you want to get to your first part of the
Yeah, of course.
episode? Sorry, I hate
Yeah.
to cut this short. I could sit here and geek out all night just like every other nerd. Wait a minute, let me rephrase
Yeah.
that. I can nerd out just about any nerdy topic there is, just like every nerd out there. But we need to get
Exactly.
on with the episode. We get off track way too much as is in this show.
Yeah, I know. A little chit chat doesn't hurt, right?
No.
All right. Oh, are you okay?
Oh,
You okay?
yeah, just um, it's allergy season. It's just beginning of allergy season, so I've got drainage like a mother, so I probably sound congested. That's because I completely am, and I
Um,
probably sound a little raspy and stuff, and I apologize for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, 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 you're fine. You actually sound normal to me. I just, so you're fine.
Uh, well,
Alright.
that's why I'm gonna cough from time to time. That
Yeah,
I might hit my vape, but
yeah. Let's see. So, had a little fun chit chat there. All right, let's get to the topic, right? So, we're talking about technologies for Pacific sci-fi shows, and for you doing Warhammer 40K, I'm going to talk about my two favorite sci-fi series. So, Star Trek. I like the original Star Trek. But Deep Space Nine, for some reason, I think it was because as a person of color, I love that it was nice to see a captain that's also a person of color. So that's why I kind of like it so much for that aspect, especially as a kid. So for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the technologies I'm going to focus on, these are more like unique and advanced technologies. The first one is the RT-116 rifle with the macro transporter. And that's basically a weapon that's capable of firing over much greater distances, achieved by like attaching a micro transporter to the barrel and allowing for pinpoint targeting of long ranges. Some reason I keep going back to wanting to think about Kira and his weapons, especially when I think about the strike.
hmm.
For some reason, I think of that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, alright, so, like, I've been trying to incorporate a psycho frame into the Freedom. Well,
Right.
this just comes up with another, like, question bringing that technology into play with Kira.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we've seen a lot of different things depending on the pilot, depending on the suit, depending on how much psycho
Hmm.
frame is there. What
Right.
the suit was originally set up for as its SciComm system came online and everything. So,
Oh, okay.
if Kira were to take one of those shots with one of these kind of weapons with through
Hmm.
a new type corridor type of way, would it be amplified even more, or would it be overpower and blow the whole system, or not enough energy? That's what I would
Mm.
wonder.
When I think about the micro transmitter portion of it, I'm hoping that if that technology was incorporated to the one of the variants of Strike Gundams, um, or the Strike Freedom Gundam, I would hope that it wouldn't be overpowered. Maybe some way it would have some sort of like what's the term I'm thinking about? Like a threshold of power that's implemented, maybe within the OS system.
What if it had? What if it had a condenser, not a condenser, but a real kind of like what a Gauss gun has to have a coil system.
Right, right.
Mm, basically, kind of like an FTL coil, kind of, or an FTL
Hmm.
buffer. You could use it in a pulse type of way. It pulses out so much energy at a time, and by the time it energizes out and releases, you're already building
Right.
back up.
Another I like that, and then also the include to that. Another thing I was thinking about when I was mentioning the OS, like because Kira is really good at you
Programming,
know
yeah.
Yeah, programming. I was thinking he would implement some sort of code into the operating system that could monitor maybe not only the temperature, but then you mentioned the condenser, so maybe there can be a code implemented in there as some way of like leveling out, how much, power is being pushed out, or, kind of like within the OS. Like, you
Oh,
have some in the
something
OS,
that
but then you have some physically.
like basically you would have it see if I can word this correctly since I'm practically brain dead right now. Basically you would have it run a diagnostic, it would be running in the background of the BIOS, and it would
Right.
auto configure on the fly.
Yeah,
Basically
that's
it could
exactly what I was
overclock
thinking
or
of.
underclock, it could adjust the CPU, it could adjust the temperature, coolage, voltage,
Mhm.
hydraulic output, reactor output, phase shift armor intermission,
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Beautifully worded. Exactly. All of that. All of that.
I probably overstated what needed to be.
No, no, that was perfect actually, because you kind of added a little, more layer to it, and detail is needed. There's never too much thing of too much detail. So
Actually, you
there you
might
go.
want to talk. You might want to take that back. There is that depending on the subject. Now we're not
That
going to
is
go into
true.
that right now, but
I gotcha.
now kids, don't try this at home.
Right. Um, there was another piece that I wanted to cover in the unique and advanced technology
All right,
portion for Deep Space Nine. Oops.
I do have one other question. The transmitter part of it, transporter part of this weapon. My only
Yeah.
other question would be is when it fires, since it's a transporter, does the beam stop at a certain distance and then appear back up before it hits the target?
I remember like in the series, that's exactly what it did. It reached a certain point when it was fired.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Ugh.
Let me
So
see.
yeah, that would actually make. Mm, what if what if Blue Cosmos got a hold of this technology, or the coordinators
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
more dedicated to Zala's, uh, Atherin's
Ideal. Yeah.
father's way.
Ideology. There you go.
Yeah, and Lou Crusade was.
Hmm.
I like how Lou Crusade was how he was tactically smart, but I do not like why he was doing what he was doing.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%.
I
Yeah.
would definitely wipe him. I would definitely have to take him off the chessboard. He would be too dangerous to leave on it.
Very. Very. Oh my gosh. And then when you think about what's his name? Miguel Azriel, like from the first part of Seed, like, or towards the
Oh,
last
he
latter
was Blue
half.
Cosmos's front bitch boy. Oops, sorry.
Nope. Exactly. Perfect descriptor, by the way.
And the girl that he took from that was the weapons commander on the Archangel that went aboard the
Yeah.
Defiant or Deliverance or something. It was the opposite of the Archangel. It was the same ship, just
Yeah.
different color and crew.
Yeah. I Wait a minute. Her name is off the tip of my tongue. Wait a
Frey
minute.
was on board.
Yeah, Frey was on board. What was her? Oh my god. Hold on, I'm like looking her up too, because
She was a
her name,
good.
like,
She was really good at her job on board the Archangel. It was bad.
she
Like I
really
felt bad when she died.
was. Oh, is it? Hold on. Yeah, her name was. Um, it's like the name Natalie, but it's Natari, like Natarle.
Meh.
Rigol.
We're just gonna say this is it. You guys can find it on Wikipedia, obviously. We are not going to attempt to butcher this character's name because the character is no longer with us. Thank you. Rest in peace. Whatever deity you want her to. Righteous later.
Nataru. I'll say the Japanese pronunciation of her name is Nataru. I'll say that. Natara. Nataru, or yeah, Nataru. Yeah. That's who we're talking about. That also got
Alrighty then.
taken along with Blade. Yeah. do better with the Romanji, Japanese wise with pronunciation than the English, because you know how Gundam names are.
Oh yeah, especially when you get into IBO.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Garrison Rebreak
Exactly.
Full City,
Oh
um,
my god, exactly.
Barbatos Lupus Rex.
Hmm. It's like a tongue twister for like most of
Oh,
the names.
I just had a good idea for a bash.
Oh, please share.
Well, it would be more of like a mock-up build. Like
Oh.
they take a some IBO, but base it around a Barbatos Lupus Rex and a Garrison
Mhm.
Rebreak Full City to make a. Hold on, I just had it. What was it? Lancelot from Code Geass.
Oh, I love that. I like that um kind of intertwining of the two.
Yeah,
By the way, I love the is it nightmare frames
yes,
in Code Geass? Those are really nice.
I do like
I
a lot of
wonder
those.
I wonder if they ever released like model kits for it now.
They are out there. There's also even some metal builds, but those are more expensive than the regular Gunpla metal builds. Like where,
Gotcha.
but they're pretty cool. They do have.
Oh,
There's rumors that they might start putting out some of the newer ones since Hulu has a series over here for them,
oh yeah. Yeah.
which it's actually
They
kind of
haven't
pretty cool.
I need to watch those too because there's been so many different spin-offs I haven't
Well,
seen.
technically, it's one entire like the little spin-offs that you get that conclude the first series over here are all technically a
Oh.
part of the one anime.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of
Okay.
like
Good to know.
how we have Full Metal Alchemist and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
Yeah. Yeah.
Dragon Ball Kai.
Yep. Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT.
Well, no more like
So
just
this
where
goes
they
on.
go back and they add or subtract from the story to make it different. That's about the
Oh,
only
yeah.
differences. Yeah.
Speaking of Full Metal Alchemist too, because like we could share. Yeah, we could. I'll talk about it in another show. Because I know I don't want to throw us off topic again. um, but yeah, out of all the like unique and advanced technologies for that, that's one of the ones I wanted to touch on. There was another one, but I feel like improved communication systems is kind of lackluster in my opinion. So I kind of like more of the weaponry piece of it. So
All
there you
right.
go. Did you wanna
Oh,
do
yeah. Give me one
yours? Or...
second here. So, I'm going to be taking a lot of what I'm going to be reading off of the Warhammer 40k dot fandom dot com.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to touch on webways. It's not so much a technology, but more like you need technology to be able to use it. Now the
Mhm.
webway is kind of like Slipstream within Starship Andromeda. You need
Oh,
an engine to be able to get into it, but you also need to be able to navigate it. And unlike
right.
the warp, you don't need a powerful psychic to be able to get into it. You just need a
Right.
device and a knowledge of it.
Gotcha.
Now, it was supposedly supposed to be getting cut off. Now,
Mm.
the extra dimensional space that this is part of is basically pardoned off from the Imperium, the Terranin, the Xenos, and the old from species known as the Old Ones. basically these old gods locked in the Tau, or not the Tau, but the Eldar, to be able to use these webways. Another word for them on in this dimension, like this universe, reality as we would call it, would be wormholes. Basically, the webway is
Yeah.
kind of like Swiss cheese around us.
Hmm.
Now,
Speaking of wormholes, there was a reference to that for the Star Trek side of it. They also had that under like the category of unique and advanced technology. So
a wormhole technology, that's more Farscape than anything.
yeah.
Now, the Emperor did try to gain access. In fact, he was like the lore says that he was fairly close when one of his most powerful seekers broke the psychic barrier that was around Terra, which we call Earth, and
Right.
allowed the Horus, sons of Horus, and later on other things to basically invade Earth, basically. Um,
Um.
so it put the whole project on hold, and later on, the Emperor never got back to it because from there on he basically has to sit on the throne to keep the Eye of Chaos from opening even further and allowing all of
Gotcha.
darkness to spread throughout the Imperium.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
You
And
go ahead and do
I
one of
think the
yours.
oh yeah, so the last now yeah, again that world that wormhole piece of it, that was like listed under the first Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I like how there's like different similar versions of that technology and other um shows, which is pretty cool.
Well, in this
Um
case, board top midstream.
oh yeah, yeah, 100%. So what I'm going to talk about is Andromeda, and I'm going to talk about a piece of technology that's on I think the ship is called the Ascendant, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Andromeda Ascendant.
And yeah, and it's one of the aspects of it I really like, it's called the magnet plasma dynamic drive. And that's pretty much a kind of like an engine that creates like a huge amount of thrust from in between electric magnetic field and its field, which is I think it's like isonic. I think that's the correct terminology or word. And it has like spacefaring vessels that use MPD, which is yeah MPDs as their main source of sublight pro- projection because it is relatively like a small amount of fuel that's required to power it. So which is
Nice.
pretty interesting. It also mentions too that the enormous amount of thrust, we're talking about like a velocity, yeah, velocity up to 500,000, 500, yeah, 500,000 ms, something like minutes per second.
Yeah. Aha.
Mm.
Rough build already done. There's one of the rifles.
Ah, okay, nice.
Alright, so like I wanna like say something real quick. I
Yeah.
would, as a lot of you guys that are a part of Plastic Addicts, if you come across this video or are watching, I was gonna enter the second year anniversary build off. Unfortunately, due to things that I did not see as a hit as big a hiccup as they were, I was not able to enter. I am going to be finishing my build. I did take a finance from Build Divers and cross it with a amazing strike freedom.
Ooh,
It is going to
nice.
be painted flat black and gold with some blue.
Oh, nice. Speaking of competitions, I think like when I was thinking earlier about the type of builder that I am, I don't usually enter competitions, but I want to do that as a challenge. And unfortunately, I was going to join too, but I got really sidetracked and I didn't even start on my build. So I need to do better with that, but I would like to put more time and effort into it. This is my second year building, so I'm hoping that I can expand my grounds and at least, try to submit in a competition maybe once in a while. But I'm still trying to like expand my grounds, especially when it comes to customing. I think kid bashing is awesome. That's again, that's to be honest, is kind of I don't the way my brain processes is probably gonna take me a while until I get to like Bits level, Valina's level when it comes to it, but I'm in for it. I'm here for it actually. So
Well, that's good. All
yeah,
good things in time. So
exactly.
it's said at least. I don't know. Sometimes you gotta take things like that, get something like that with the that.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta go at your own pace. I think like I'm the type of person that goes at my own pace because like for me, when I enter like a hobby like this, I use it as a really good way to like take my mind off of certain things and it is more relaxing. And I think sometimes like when I want to kind of spare my grounds and go into like the competitive side of it or maybe do something that's really complex like kit bashing, then my mind's like, oh man, I would like to try this, but then I feel like maybe I'm too casual with it as a straight builder that will be doing custom stuff because I want to do custom stuff. I am interested in painting and all of that. So maybe that'll be like one step at a time sort of deal for me. But I would like to do a kit bash at some point, which we are going to do a little something together, a little collaboration
Yep.
with the real grade justice cut I'm gonna have. That is one of the kits that I don't have displayed because it just
Boom.
is yeah, it's a hand grenade in my
Oh yeah.
opinion.
Big time. That thing will blow apart on you if you just look at it funny. Because I have one
Exactly.
too. I've got the real.
Oh.
Yeah, like that thing will not stay together for anything, and neither will my freedom. So I've got to
Oh.
modify it to stay together.
Yeah.
Which kind
And
of
it
sucks
makes
if you
me a
think about
bit
it.
oh good, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, it kind of sucks if you think about it. It's not necessarily Bandai's fault. They just haven't got the. Because that system would be really cool once they get. It's gonna be really cool once they get it ironed out, all the kinks taken care of.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say too, when it comes to like I think I at least built technically three real grades, but like I don't know, like the first real grade I built, it was the real grade Destiny gun. It was the old version of it, but and then the Destiny gun, but it's just I don't know what it is. Maybe because it was older and it's the way they're very flimsy. It makes me so hesitant to want to build one. So I'm just like, oh, maybe I should stick to high grade. But I mean, I do have like at least two real grades that I haven't really touched because I'm kind of wary, I guess you can say.
Well, I enjoy building the real grades because gimmicks they're heavy on gimmicks on a lot of them. They're just like a smaller master grade.
Yeah, I know. It has a lot more detailed parts. You
Yep.
know, I will
And
say, oh,
that
technically I
would
built
be fun
Ford.
to do. I think that would be a really fun thing to do with a what was it detail work to go through and paint detail work on.
Oh yeah. I do have the real grade God Gundam, and I bought it because I love the Halo effect piece. I love that. I love that so much. And I will build it. I've heard that it's a more solid build, which hopefully will restore my faith when it comes to
It
me
will.
building. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that build. It got a lot of views on my TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So did
Well, gee,
my real great build strike full package.
hmm. Yeah, because when you really think about it, I think because G Gundam has a good amount. Like I have a very healthy fandom, so there's a lot, especially then there's Wing as well, on the west side of things. So
Was?
oh yeah, huh?
It's just was. Oh,
Oh, I gotcha. I missed the reference there. Whoa, went over my head. Ah,
man, I sometimes I go back and I watch movies, but we'll say that and I'll be like, what were we thinking back then? Oh yeah, we weren't. So many
that's just
questionable things,
exactly. Yeah, it kind of
like
just
the
reminds
hair.
me too. Kind of reminds me too, like when some people like when you go back and watch like a movie from like the 80s or 90s, and it just makes you wonder like, whoa. Especially the cinematography side of it has come a long way.
Oh, but then there's some people that they just like Lucas Studios. They were just ahead of their time, and they still are.
Oh yeah, I agree.
All right, so you have one more item to go over.
Oh, that was the main two I wanted to
Okay.
cover. Yeah, cause like just out of everything I looked at, like for the Star Trek piece of it, the weaponry. But then for the drama, the side of things, just that drive
Hmm.
was my favorite, I have to say.
Huh. Yeah.
Was there another one you had, or that was everything?
I've got one more. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You share.
There's the 2 out of 3. I'm just doing rough notes
Okay.
right now on the weapons.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Okay, so well, I have two more. So my other one is called a las cannon. Now,
Oh
the
wow.
las think of the las cannon as basically a hauser that can be also go all the way down to the size of what would be a think of like a 50 cal machine gun on the back of a Hummer that got turned into a
Hmm.
Barrett for a big oversized human in power armor.
Oh wow. Okay. Ooh.
Space Marine like soldiers, like the uh, the Ultramarines and everything, they all have so many like modifications made to their body, genetically and alterations. Like they are given extra lungs, hearts, like they're made and bred to fight. Like if you have you played StarCraft or
Oh, I
anything
played
where
a
there's like
little. I played a
like
little StarCraft in the past.
Zerg, the Zerg,
No.
the Queen of Blades, the Swarm. Basically, they're like these giant insects that horror spur like the insectoids off of Starship Troopers. Basically, they
Oh,
launch
okay.
spores into space, they terraform a planet, they take over it, they strip it of all of what they need, they do it again. and it's
Oh.
all grown genetically by altering certain materials with a like
Mhm.
a one of their larvae, and then they all do what they are supposed to. It's weird,
Nice.
and they just like
Yeah.
mass produce out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
it's like they're like they're the crabs version of the they're like the galaxy version of crabs, but deadly and carnivorous.
Wait, when you mean crabs, are we talking about, like,
STDs.
SpongeBob crabs?
No, like
Oh.
we're talking about like transmitted. Like, I'm sorry, son, you're
Oh,
popular.
those. Those type
You've
of
got
crabs.
the
Okay.
itchies.
I don't
Huh?
know why, but every time my brain hears the word crabs, I think of Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. My mind goes there.
You're fired. Go home.
What can I do? What can I do to save my position?
Give up the Krabby Patties.
Oh no, not the Krabby Patties.
Give them the plankton.
Oh yeah, so you can
Yeah.
have the recipe.
They'll go straight to
uh,
your hips.
actually, ironically, oh okay. As a fellow Gundam Seed fan, okay, I have to do a reference. Okay, when I think of crab, also I think about episode. This is like my favorite episode on for obvious reasons. People know. Episode 26 with
Oh,
Afrin and Kagali, and when she had a crab stuck in her shirt.
oh Jesus! Yeah, he laughed. She was like, "What the hell, jerk!"
I also think of that scene. And actually, you know what's ironic about that? Like, if we think about crab, I don't know why, but like that also pops into my mind whenever someone says crab or is either a SpongeBob SquarePants character or Gundam Seed.
Yeah, that I could see that.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I think the void god got a partifice.
all right.
Yeah, I think I lost the tip to the barrel.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are you
You're
able to are you able to
well.
find it within the abyss?
Well, hopefully I can. I've got to move some stuff around, but I'll have to do that after we're
Gotcha. Okay.
done.
So no, I mean not all hope is lost.
No, not all hope has been lost. Uh, and for all I know, it could have fallen on the table. I'm just overlooking it because there's a bunch of nubs where it was.
You know, I have that exact same issue whenever I drop something and I look on the floor and then I realize, oh, the piece just flew on the far end of the desk, which is frustrating. I'm like, why didn't I look there first? Nope, we always look on the floor.
Sometimes, most of the time, yeah, because that's usually where it falls off at too.
Oh yeah. I look forward to your build. It's gonna come out really nice. And also, congrats on your grand. What's it? I guess you can say your grand. What's the term am I thinking of? My brain is failing me. Your your wish list kit. I guess you can say
Oh, my Grail kit.
your grail kit. There we go. Thank you.
Uh, uh,
It it took 3 minutes. We got it.
okay, so now the thing with the last cannon, basically it can be pin position or it can be used for like barrage, but it they're just massive big things. They take power cells that are really bulky too, so you got to be pretty powerful,
Oh,
pretty strong to carry one. Usually, people that carry them are uh, they're usually recon. So basically, they're lightweight
Oh.
troopers just running around with very little armor and a power pack.
Mm, okay.
Now there will be some Astragis that will carry them, basically like the command units for the game.
Ooh.
Now there are a few ones that carry them chapters of the. All right, so one vehicle that is always found on is a Land Raider. They're part of the Imperium
Ooh.
Guard. Predator Annihilator is a bigger tank that they're on.
Okay.
Volcano Lance. The Volcano Lance, a massive night grade Imperial laser weapon that serves as one of the primary armaments of the Draconis class Knight Chelston, which provides this massive range of damage output, las cannon, the barrel, super heavy war engines, and beast of the core of a Imperium Straka. Behind the enemy Titan, which can serve when several knights carrions open at it once, the effect basically this thing's just massive tower of destruction that will just hit the ground.
Oh, okay.
Some of it's very hard to imagine because a lot of the stuff that you read in the lore and stuff, like the stories that are canon, you can't
Mhm.
find models for them. Like there for the
Mm.
longest time, there was no drop pod in 40K. Now you can buy one to build. And the very last thing that I have to touch on is
Mhm.
a basically it is the Tau Empire. They were kind of secluded for a while for like a couple
Okay.
thousand, like 500 or 800 years, something like that. They were secluded from the warp, which is basically where the gods of this universe live.
Mm,
But don't think of
okay.
them like God or Zeus or Odin. Think of them more like the four horsemen if they were to get positioned as gods in a psychic field of energy that's in between worlds. They don't really have a physical form, but they're too OP if they were
Mm.
to have one. And they're called
Okay.
warp chaos gods. Basically, think
Mm.
about them OP demons.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
and one of them is called Korg. He is basically a plague, pestilence, those kind of things, all in one. There's Nurgle, the god of decay and disease.
Mm.
Like they enslave and hunt down and eradicate the old gods when they come into existence. When they come into existence into the 40K universe, they blow a whole parts of solar systems. Just
Mm.
massive outputs of explosions of psychic energy. The last one that came into being opened up the Eye of Terror, which was the god
Ooh,
Slanesh.
interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Man, I got a lot to learn when it comes to um
Oh, I still have to go through the lore just to be able to like get parts so I know what I'm talking about from time to
it's like
time.
so integral.
Oh,
You know?
there's
So
books that have been taken out and put back into canon. Like it gets deep, depending on what circles you run in.
gosh.
But this ship is basically a battle cruiser. Uh, during the Demoligus Gulf Crusade, this ship
Mhm.
with significantly shortcomings not overcome without a radical hull redesign. So it got
Oh,
redesigned and was like upgraded into the battle class that was there. It has railguns, ion cannons, power-mounted gravic launchers, deflector shields, and three squadron of Demologos and Mantis defense turrets mounted on the hulls. It also has gravity shielding and advanced integrated tracking systems.
wow.
It can basically link up with one of the starships that would be up in orbit.
Nice. Hmm.
It could be these things could be launched down, gravity hook this thing back up to the gunship and then take off or to be carried in
Gotcha.
and out of battle.
Okay.
It could work as
Hmm.
an escort. There's different types depending on like what they certain equipment will depend on what they actually like the classifications that they have behind it for its destination. It's an all
Mm.
around pretty good ship, and they're basically it's the mass production model of their fleet.
Oh,
All right, and that
awesome.
would be everything that I have tonight on this.
Oh,
But
nice.
is there anything you want to talk about that was like something else, the other stuff that you really like about some of this tech? Like other things that you really thought would go good with, anything like that?
Honestly, I probably, the way my brain is, like, there's so many aspects of it, but it would be really hard for me to, like, put it into words, to be honest.
All right, well, I don't know of anything else to talk about right now because I am beginning to get really stuffed up here. So
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah,
um,
I am going to be I am going to say we should probably call it one tonight. I am not feeling too well, and it is close anyway. We are at 10:53, so we're a couple minutes off. So,
yeah,
but
we covered a lot.
yes, we did. So, like always, stay dirty, keep rocking, and always stay blessed. All right, later, guys.